Welcome to this week's episode of the Mainly Moonology podcast. So we have just had the last quarter moon in Libra. We'll delve into how that moon phase can influence our ongoing journey towards balance and closure and 2025 and how it sets the stage for the upcoming new moon. We'll also navigate the pretty complex astrological aspects of the week, including challenging alignments involving Venus, Jupiter, Mercury and Saturn. I'll be giving you some insights on how to use these energies for personal transformation as we head towards the very end of the year. So come on, grab a comfortable space, pick up your journal, your pen, and let's explore the celestial insights of the week ahead that can help us refine our paths and prepare for the beginnings, which are just around the corner. Let's get started. Welcome to the Mainly Moonology podcast. I'm your host, Yasmin Boland, an award-winning astrologer and the Sunday Times best-selling author of books including Moonology and creator of the Moonology Oracle cards. My intention for this podcast is to help you understand how you can create your dream life using Mainly Moonology, the moon, as your guide. All right, so we are breaking the podcast into 4 sections as usual. We're going to talk about the astrology of the week ahead, then we'll talk about the moonology of the week ahead, plus we will do a reader question, and at the very end of this episode we will be drawing a card of the week, which if you listen to it, it's meant for you. So really one of the big themes for this week, and I think it's probably implicit in the title, is the fact that this week is all about trying to find a balance between expanding out into the world, expanding into 2025, thinking about what you want to bring into your life in 2025, but also dealing with the fact of reality, contraction. Basically, it's really expansion and contraction this week. It's all about really a tug of war between growth and freedom and what you want, and the restrictions or reality checks that are presented by this week's planetary alignments. Now, I can actually give you a really good example of this from my life this week, which I think will make it really easy to understand. So, as you may or may not know, depending on if you follow me on social media or not, right now I am in Tasmania, Australia. So it's the island state, and it happens to be where I grew up. So I've been here with my son Louis. I did 2 workshops. I did one in Hobart, one in La Trobe, and then we've been zooming around the state, seeing old friends and catching up with people I went to school with at uni and all that. And you know, I've just been having a fine old time, very much about expansion and freedom. But now the proverbial has kind of hit the fan, and I've realized, oh my goodness, I need to do this podcast. I haven't done it yet. I went on to Slack, which is the system we use for my team. And actually my team have been amazing at keeping things going while I've been, racing around the island and having a fine old time. But I've spent quite a few hours now trying to catch up with messages and thinking about all the stuff that I've got to do. I've got a lot of stuff coming up for my Mainly Moonology members for the end of the year. And so that's like the contraction of me kind of going, you know what, I've had all the freedom, but now I have to kind of pay the piper a little bit and get down to work and do my stuff. And the reason why that is such a big theme this week is something I'm actually going to go into in depth for my Mainly Moonology members. So let me take a chance to give a little plug to that. If you're thinking about you want to have an amazing 2025, join us in the Mainly Moonology membership. You can sign up at mainlymoonologymembership.com, and we always talk about all the big things that are going on in the skies in depth and try to learn how do they apply to our own chart and so on. And this is something that's taking place this week and happening this week that I'm going to talk about a lot for my members in our private session, because Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is actually clashing with Saturn, the planet of contraction. So that's why we're going to get what you could call this contrast between, I want to go off and see the world, but I still have responsibilities that I have to take care of. So if you're having a bit of that this week, it's really a time to try and find a balance. And, it may not be that you're traveling around Tasmania. It may well be that you are, for example, you have a job and you've got deadlines before the end of the year, but you've also got lots of invitations to go out and party with your friends and your family as we get towards what I call the silly season, the fun season of, taking time out at Christmas if you celebrate it, or Hanukkah, or whatever it is that you may celebrate, or just getting some time off towards the end of the year. And then there's always that kind of mystical week between Christmas and New Year where I always like that idea that we just sit around contemplating life and eating cheese. But so that's really what we're faced with at the moment. It's really about trying to find a balance between fun, which is Jupiter, and reality. Okay, so there is a kind of a tension in the air this week. There really is, and it's probably the biggest thing to work with. Jupiter is in Gemini, the sign that loves to chat. Saturn, though, is bearing down in Pisces, where we're being asked to set some realistic boundaries. There's probably a feeling of being pulled between wanting to explore and the need to do what you need to do. Now, to talk about this in terms of manifesting, because we're all about manifesting here at Moonology Towers, it's really about, you've got the big dreams, you know what you want to create in 2025, but what are you going to do to make it real? What practical steps can you take? You can do things like prioritizing your tasks, setting realistic goals, and communicating, because Jupiter's in the sign of communication. There may also be a question of, do you need to cut back on some of your commitments to make way for the things that you actually want to bring into your life? And I am just going to say again, really this is a great time to join the Mainly Moonology membership. If you're not a member, if you're hearing this, maybe it's your sign from the universe, because we are a brilliant community of, I think, around about 1,000 women, mainly women. I think we've got a couple of enlightened men in our ranks, and we do talk about all the energies and how to use them, how best to use them. Mainly Moonology membership.com. So that's probably the biggest thing of the week, the biggest influence of the week, but there are some other interesting aspects going on. December 24, and by the way, I didn't give you the date for Jupiter square Saturn, and in a funny way, it almost doesn't matter, and I'll tell you why. Because it's such a big event. It's actually taking place on December 24 or 25, depending on where you are in the world. But in a way, it kind of doesn't matter because it's such a big thing. It's not like it's just going to, take place on that day. You will already be feeling it. I mean, I'm recording this on December 21. This podcast will be available on Sunday as usual. That'll be December 22. But we'll already all be feeling it one way or another because it's such a big event. We will feel it in the lead up to it. And by the way, it also reflects maybe things that happen for you in June. Now, if you are a Northern Hemisphere dweller, then that will have been summer. Maybe that was a similar thing of, wanting to just go off swimming and drinking pina coladas while having responsibilities. Wherever you are in the world, there's going to be some echoes of stuff that, where you first learned about this. And one more thing to say about Jupiter square Saturn before I move on. It is quite tough because it's sort of like a bit of a fun buster. It can be, where you just want to have a good time, but you can't. But it's also about learning lessons that will stand you in good stead for many, many years to come. And it's also about, like I said with manifestation, very much about, you've got the big dreams. Well, dreams cost, and right here is where you start paying, to quote that old TV show Fame. So I hope that helps you understand some of the energies that are happening this week. There are more, though, that I wanted to talk about. One which is really nice, and it's taking place around about December 24, depending on where you are in the world. It's a harmonious link between Venus, the planet of love, and Chiron, which is the planetoid of healing. And it's very much about healing and harmonious connections. And it's a lovely thing to happen just around Christmas Day or Hanukkah or whatever you celebrate at this time of the year, or even if you don't celebrate anything sort of religious, chances are you will be seeing friends and family, hopefully, at this time of the year. And if you're not, it actually paves the way to getting together with friends and family, because Venus is the planet of love and harmony, and it's making a harmonious aspect to Chiron, the wounded healer. Okay, and it really is going to create an environment where emotional healing is possible. So if you've been at odds with people, especially if you've been at odds with someone in your family and now you have to go and see them for the holidays, It can really present opportunities for kind of opening up dialogues, conversations that address past hurts, perhaps, especially within close relationships. And also, it will help everyone to be a little bit more compassionate and empathetic as they discuss whatever needs to be discussed. It can also really raise awareness around your own vulnerabilities and your own triggers, and give you a chance to kind of work with the people around you to help them understand what really triggers you, what really hurts you, and actually help you all move into a better relationship as a result. And there's also the chance for just, ending up almost by magic in a healing sort of environment or healing experience. But don't just wait for that to happen. Think about what you need to heal, especially with family or friends, and think about conversations that you could have that might help. If you're really working through some tough stuff, because Venus is very much associated with aesthetics, any kind of art therapy can help, music, and Chiron has a sort of a bodywork aspect. So, massage, bodywork, rolfing, Alexander technique, anything like that, can really help to bring out the best of this aspect. So that's kind of the best one. Less good is that there is a challenging couple of aspects between Mercury and Saturn and Jupiter and then Saturn, which will be just after Christmas, after December 25. So Mercury is in Sagittarius, which in theory should be very broad-minded and be great for thinking and communicating, but it is facing challenges from Jupiter and Saturn. So these challenges can come in the form of perhaps, maybe with this Mercury square to Saturn, it can be like just glossing over people's feelings, not thinking about how they feel, being overly optimistic about how everything's going to be fine, and really not doing the hard work that needs to be done in order to, for example, do that healing with friends or family if it's needed. Plus also Mercury clashing with Saturn, it's all about limitations. So it can be that you're just going to bound in there. I mean, this is something I could do, bound in there thinking, oh, everything's going to be great, everything's going to be fine, and not realizing that in some ways you're somehow riding roughshod over someone. So just be really, really careful of that. Just kind of try and go into this holiday season thinking, I'm going to try and be as mindful as I possibly can about the people around me that I'm spending the holidays with. I'm going to aim for healing, and I'm going to just try to make sure I don't ride roughshod over anyone. I take the time to really try to analyze how they feel, and not gloss over how they feel. There's also another possibility as well, which is very likely and kind of less worrisome, which would be the potential for over-committing to plans this holiday season, or not thinking about the practical considerations of you've said you're going to see X at 11 a.m. and you're going to be at such and such at 1 p.m. and there's actually no way that you can manage to do it all. So just be really realistic when it comes to that. And also, maintain a realistic attitude about, how possible it is to do to find healing this season. Try, even if you just go in baby steps. A couple of practical tips would be, for example, take the time to review all your commitments that you've made. It's like, don't invite 10 people to lunch these holidays if you've only got seats for 6, and then expect everyone to just fit at the table. Break everything down into larger projects, take into manageable steps, just to really try and make the holidays as easy as you can for yourself and everyone else. There's also, I'm sorry to say, another quite difficult clash as well taking place just after those Mercury clashes. We get Venus clashing with Uranus. So that can be sort of unexpected changes to do with relationships or money. Now, look, I want to say it's not likely to be, a marriage ending upset or, a bank balance decimating event. It's not that big. It could be if you've been really ignoring all the signs, but overall, it's more likely to be a little blip. Venus in Aquarius wants stability in relationships, but that's being disrupted by Uranus in Taurus, which can bring changes and upheavals. So let's talk about how it can manifest in relationships. It can be that there's a sudden huge argument. Now, is it going to end the relationship? Hopefully not, because this is the season of goodwill. So, and if you're doing the whole, if you're understanding the whole Jupiter-Saturn thing, which is, don't bite off more than you can chew. Think about what you're saying, be realistic. Mercury, Saturn, don't gloss over people's feelings. Mercury, Jupiter. It shouldn't be leading to sudden, massive upsets, but just be aware that it can do. So just be a little bit careful. Financially, just be careful as well, because there could be sudden expenses or, surprising. If you're really lucky, it could be surprising financial opportunities, even though it's a tough aspect. So, that is kind of the astrology for the week ahead. I hope that helps you understand what we are all moving into. And now let's take a look at the Moonology. All right, so the Moonology of the week ahead. So we have just had the last quarter moon in the sign of Libra. And so FYI, we had the full moon and then we get the last quarter moon. The last quarter moon comes between the full moon and the new moon, and it marks really a point of reassessment, reflection. It's when the moon looks like a half moon in the skies, and in this case the moon is moving towards darkness, because at the new moon we get the dark moon, then the new moon, and we can't see the moon. Libra highlights themes of balance and relationships and justice. It's ruled by Venus, which we saw is clashing with Uranus this week. So it really sort of feeds back into everything we've been talking about. It's about reviewing and rebalancing our relationships, our commitments, question what's working, what isn't working, and why. It's an opportunity to reflect on all our partnerships, personal and professional. Are they providing the intended balance that we want from them? Are the compromises we are making fair? Libra is clashing, the quarter moon in Libra is clashing with the sun in Capricorn. So it's very much a time to weigh up, money versus work versus commitments versus justice versus, what's the right thing to do? How many sacrifices are you willing to make for the money that you want, and so on. So really think about, how fairly you're treating other people and how fairly are you being treated in return. But again, tread softly this week. It's a really good time if you want to navigate the last quarter moon as best you can. It's a really good time to do your meditations or just reflective practices like journaling, which help you to evaluate your relationships. A couple of journal prompt ideas could be, say, where do I need more balance in my life? Yeah. Where could I be fairer? And how hard am I willing to work for the money that I want? They're three journal tips you could go for. You could also really think about implementing changes that are going to bring more balance into your life. Maybe you're in a relationship or a flatmate situation or something like that with your kids, or maybe, and have discussions about what is everyone's role, what's everyone's responsibility. And remember, it's waning cycle energy, so it's a time to release and let go. So let go of any obligations that are consistently unbalanced or no longer serve your higher purpose. Let go of anything that is not working for you in the waning cycle as we move towards the new moon. So as we go through the waning cycle, really the focus shifts from the working hard towards our goals that we did in the waxing cycle to release. Release as a preparation for eventual renewal. The light of the moon is diminishing every night, and that symbolizes really just letting go and clearing the path of the beginnings that we will be embracing at the new moon. And again, I will refer to my members. We will be doing our new moon ceremony together in the membership area as normal, even though it's going to be the very end of the year. Either we're going to do it live or I'm going to do a pre-record, but either way I'm going to give you something really good, I hope, because it's such an important new moon this time around, obviously, because it is the last one of the year. So But right now, before we get to the new moon, now is the time for ending projects, signing off on any deadlines you can, letting go of relationships that are obviously complete or over, so that you'll be able to start the next lunar cycle, the last new moon of the year, which actually takes place, I think, on December 30 or 31, like really at the end of the year, be able to start with a fresh slate. A couple of practical tips for working with the waning cycle. Really good time to deep clean your home or workspace, because physically you can clean it out, energetically you can clean it out. I'm actually overseas, as you know, but back home in London I have a couple of friends actually house minding and dog sitting, and they sort of said, we don't really need a cleaner. I have a lovely woman called Aga, hi Aga, who comes in every week and helps me clear up, keep things nice and clean. And I said to the friends who were staying there, well, you know what? I'm actually going to ask Aga to come in while I'm away so she can do all those other things that otherwise don't get done. Like, for example, we have a very large clothes rack in the entry hall of my place and our place. And I feel like there's a whole lot of stuff on that rack which doesn't need to be there anymore. So Aga's going to go in and sort all those things out and put things where they're meant to be. It's that kind of energy right now. Really clear out physically and energetically. If you have some sustainably sourced sage, great time to be doing that. Also a really good time to do really grounding activities that help you consolidate and conclude the year, like reviewing your finances, completing any outstanding tasks that need to be done around the home or with work, or even finalising any creative projects you've been working on as much as you can, just to get that sense that even though it's a man-made thing, it's the end of the year and you're tying things up. Also, have a think about the intentions you set for yourself at the start of the year and think about how you've done, and just really release anything which no longer feels like it's right for you. Because, the last quarter moon in Libra, which we've had, and the subsequent waning cycle, which we will be in when you listen to this, really is a powerful period for, I guess, introspection and closure. It's setting the stage for the beginnings that the new moon will bring, but right now it's about introspection, closure, release. So use the time to let go of whatever no longer serves you, just to release it, to make space for the new energy that will come in at the new moon. Okay, so now let's turn our thoughts to a reader question. So I have already chosen a reader question for this week, and it was a very, very simple one. Someone asked, actually she bought a chart from me on my website, yasminboland.com. You can find a section where there's free charts and paid charts. So she purchased the Life Lucky Destiny Planner, and she's begun to understand her astrology chart. This question is from E.R. Boval. And she's given me her date of birth, and she's saying, I wonder what a good romantic partner would look like for me in terms of my charts. How do I map this out? So I wanted to answer this for E.R. Boval, but I also wanted to answer it for everybody. If you're wondering, like, what do I need to know about my love life? What sort of person would suit me? Is my current partner the right person for me? Or what should I be looking for in my next partner? It's a really, really simple little trick I wanted to give you. Now, you can look at your Venus and you can look at your Mars and your fifth house, and all that would be brilliant. But I wanted to give you something that I could explain here in the podcast that anybody can kind of really, really understand. The only thing is you need to know your rising sign, okay? Now, if you don't know your rising sign, just head over to moonmessages.com/free chart, moonmessages.com/free chart. I will put a link in the description to that, and I will also put a link for the membership in there as well for anyone who wants to sign up for the membership, so you can get a year now for the whole of 2025. So you do your chart, time, date, place of birth, and unfortunately if you don't know your time of birth, this is a bit tricky, okay? But assuming that most people seem to, time, date, place of birth, put your details in, get your chart, and then what you need to do is look at your rising sign, okay? Because whatever sign you have rising, the opposite sign rules your love zone, okay? So let's just go through them. If you are Aries rising, then now make a note. Actually, let me just tell you what it means before I list them all. Basically, the sign that rules your love zone, aka it's called your descendant. So the rising sign is also known as your ascendant, and the love zone, the sign that rules your love zone, the line that goes through your chart is called the descendant, but you can also call it your love line. And so what it means is whatever sign you have there kind of describes you as a lover, but it can also describe the kind of person that you will be best with, okay? So, you know, you do need to know a little bit of astrology. And again, I could recommend one of my books. I could recommend, if you really don't know anything about this, you could grab my book, Astrology Made Easy, which will teach you all about this sort of thing. It's Astrology Made Easy. I also have a course of the same name for people who prefer video learning. But basically, you know, think about the qualities of that sign and then think, okay, so that's how I am in relationships. But it's also the kind of person that I might end up with. So I mean, I'll go through all 12 in a minute, but the example that's coming to mind for me right now is, you know, if you're Gemini rising, then Sagittarius rules your love zone. So you could end up with someone so you would probably love very lightly, because Sagittarius is a big sign of freedom, but also you could end up with someone who's got a Sagittarian quality, who either is Sagittarian or maybe they work with the law or, not the law, sorry, with legal stuff, because Sagittarius has a strong legal flavor, but also it can be, you know, Sagittarius has a strong foreigner element, so it may well be you end up with someone from another country. So that's kind of how to interpret these. So I'll just go through them. So if you're Aries rising, then you need to look at Libra, because Libra rules your love zone. Taurus rising, it's Scorpio. Gemini rising, as I just said, Sagittarius. Cancerian or Moonchild rising, Capricorn. Leo rising, look at Aquarius. Virgo rising, check out the Pisces energy. Libra rising, it all goes back to front now. Libra is Aries. Scorpio is Taurus energy. Sagittarius rising is Gemini energy and the love zone. Capricorn is Cancerian energy, Moonchild energy. Aquarius rising is Leo energy on your love zone. So you might go out with a Leo or be attracted to Leos, or just need someone who is a Leo, you know, someone who loves to be adored and so on. And then what have I done? Capricorn, Aquarius. Pisces is Virgo energy. So that's just a really quick little tip to help you understand how to see what a good romantic partner would look like, depending on your rising sign. So there we go. All right, so I'm just leaning over to my suitcase, my roller bag, which is by my side here in my friend Mary Ellen's lovely house in Hobart, Tasmania, where she has literally vacated this place. So Louis and I can stay here, which was really amazing of her. And what I'm going to do now, I don't know if you can hear, but I am shuffling a card. So I want you to think about what you know you need to release, because we're in the waning cycle, and I have a card here. If this card is for you, then just say it out loud or whisper it. This card is for me. This card is for me. So you commit to it, because it's really important to commit to it. And I'm going to read the card. So thinking about what you need to release, this is what you need to know. Whoa, okay. We actually got a great card. We got, I'm using my Moonology Messages Oracle deck, and we have the Moon Magic card, which is absolutely brilliant. 76, I was a bit worried about what we were going to get. It's actually the Transformation card, and I will put a link to the card in the description somehow so you can see a picture of it. All right, so transformation. As we move through life, this is the message if you said this card is for you. As we move through life, we can aim high or low. For example, when it comes to your current situation, so whatever it is you're thinking about that you need to release, you can hope for small changes or you can aim for massive transformation that takes everyone involved to the next level. There is magic afoot now, even if you can't feel it yet. You have the power to transform your life. Believe that whatever you're going through right now is what you have to experience to get to where you want to go. A romantic situation can get better than ever when you draw this card, but do allow the universe, I'm waggling my finger, you can't see it because I'm doing audio only this week because I'm not fit for the camera. Do allow the universe to show you who the romance will be with. In other words, it could be your current romantic situation is going to get better, or maybe there's someone new around the corner. It could be with your current partner or someone else, but transformation is possible. If you're asking about abundance, all right, if you've been letting go of money worries, for example, know that transformation is possible in this regard too. Either way, you have to believe in your powers and your ability to shape your life. Well, if you're a Mainly Moonology podcast listener, and especially if you're one of my members, I hope you do believe in your powers and your ability to shape your life, because that's really what I'm trying to teach people. Once you do believe in yourself, align with the moon cycles, set intentions at new moon, do the release work at full moon, and watch your life transform. So there you go. That is the card for the week. So on that note, I will wrap things up. I will almost certainly do a podcast next week about the astrology for the year ahead. But I also want you to know that I will be doing a Kickstart 2025 workshop that is free in inverted commas for anyone who buys my Moonology diary or desk calendar. And registers it. You can buy it on Amazon or wherever you want in a bookshop, but you have to register it at moonmessages.com/my diary. One word. moonmessages.com/my diary. And I will put that in the show notes as well, or just go there. And that Kickstart 2025 workshop, I think we've already got 4,000 people registered, which is great. But, we're aiming for at least 5, so come and join us. All right, with all that said, I'm going to wish you lots and lots of love and luck, and I hope to speak to you next week. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Mainly Moonology podcast. If you'd like to stay updated with the moon and moonology and astrology and all the other things we cover, be sure to subscribe to the podcast via Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You'll be notified whenever a new episode is up. Also, it would mean a lot to me and my team if you could leave us a glowing 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice, please. That actually helps more people find us too, which spreads the love and surely also brings you amazing karma for taking a moment to help us out and to help other people find the podcast. Have a great week, and I hope to speak to you next week. Lots of love.